Some stories defy logic. Some crimes are so brutal, so senseless, that it's hard to believe they happened at all. But perhaps even more incredible is the human will to survive. This is the story of Alison Botha, a young South African woman who was kidnapped, assaulted, stabbed over 30 times, and left for dead in the middle of nowhere, and still managed to crawl to safety, identify her attackers, and rebuild her life. Her case shook South Africa and stunned the world, not just because of what happened to her, but because of what she did after. On the night of December 18th, 1994, 27-year-old Alison Botha had just dropped her friend off after a casual dinner. She lived in Port Elizabeth, a coastal city known for its beaches and laid-back energy. It was close to 1 a.m. when she pulled up to her flat, just a few blocks from the ocean. As she turned off the ignition, she noticed a man standing near her car. He moved quickly, brandishing a knife. "Move over," he said. "If you do what I say, I won't hurt you." His name was Frans de Toy, though Alison wouldn't learn that until much later. Terrified, she obeyed. He got behind the wheel and began driving aimlessly through town. De Toy pretended to be calm, even making small talk, but his next move made it clear this was not just a carjacking. After a few minutes, he stopped to pick up another man, Theuns Kruger, De Toy's accomplice. Now Alison was sandwiched between two armed strangers, her fate completely in their hands. They drove further out of the city, into an isolated area filled with shrubs, sand, and quiet darkness. When they reached a remote spot off the highway, they forced her out of the car. There, in the dirt, both men took turns violating her. They offered no pretense, no excuses. They were cold, methodical. But even after that, they weren't finished. Alison begged for her life. She tried to connect with them, tried to make herself human in their eyes. One of them told her she was brave. Another said they respected her. Moments later, they tried to kill her. First, they strangled her with their bare hands. Alison lost consciousness. They thought she was dead, but just to make sure, De Toy took out a knife and began slicing her throat. Once, then again. The wounds were deep, so deep that her windpipe was severed, her voice box was exposed, her head was nearly detached from her body. But they still weren't done. Kruger took the knife and began stabbing her in the abdomen over 30 times. The wounds ruptured major organs, her liver, intestines, even her uterus. Her attackers dragged her body off the dirt path and into the bush, covered her with leaves and sand, and walked away. But Alison wasn't dead. Lying alone in the dirt, Alison drifted in and out of consciousness. She was cold, covered in blood, her organs were slipping out of her body. She couldn't speak, couldn't scream, her throat was nearly severed. She could have stayed there, faded away quietly, but something inside her refused. Summoning strength that even she didn't know she had, Alison reached down and physically held her stomach together with one hand. With the other, she pressed against her neck to stop the bleeding. Then she began to crawl. Inch by inch, she dragged herself out of the brush, back toward the dirt path, and finally onto a nearby road. Her body was failing, her vision was blurring, but she kept going. And then, headlights. A car. A lifeline. Tian Ailerd, a 20-year-old veterinary student, was driving home late that night. He saw what looked like a crumpled form on the road. As he got closer, he realized it was a woman, barely alive, covered in blood. Allison couldn't speak, but she was conscious. She mouthed her name. Tian immediately called for an ambulance and stayed with her, using his training to stabilize her until help arrived. The fact that she was found in time is still considered one of the greatest miracles in South African criminal history. At the hospital, doctors were stunned. Allison had lost nearly half of her blood. Her trachea was cut, her organs were severely damaged. But she survived surgery, and once she was able to communicate, using hand gestures and writing, she gave police full descriptions of both attackers, their names, their appearances, every detail she remembered. Within 5 days, Du Toit and Kruger were arrested. Incredibly, both men confessed. They were charged with kidnapping, attempted murder, and multiple counts of assault. During the trial, Allison faced them in court and told the world what they had done. Both were sentenced to life in prison. The judge ensured they would never be eligible for parole. After the trial, Allison had a choice: disappear into privacy or tell her story. She chose the latter. In 1998, she published a memoir titled I Have Life. It became a national bestseller. She became a mother, a motivational speaker, and an advocate for survivors of violence. Her story is now taught in schools and universities. It's used by medical professionals to study trauma response. In 2016, a documentary about her experience, titled Allison, premiered to international acclaim. When asked how she survived, Allison once said, "It's not about what they did to me. It's about what I chose to do after." Her courage, her clarity, and her strength have made her a symbol of hope around the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this story interesting, consider liking and subscribing for more deep dive true crime cases like this one, and remember to always watch your back.